Remember, I'm a lawyer too, and so I know how scared we get as lawyers anytime the subject of math comes up. And this is precisely why so many small law firm owners struggle so much when it comes to the financial management of their business. But you don't have to know hardly anything about bookkeeping or accounting or math to become very effective in your use of these important financial concepts and ideas.
You're listening to the Profit First for Lawyers podcast, the official companion show to the book Profit First for Lawyers by RJon Robins. Now, this podcast is for you if you want to bring home more profit while working fewer hours in the office, spending even more time with your loved ones, and turning your office into a lean, mean, profit-breathing machine. So if you're tired of working for your law firm instead of your law firm working for you, stay tuned for some really practical insights that will get you the results you've always wanted. It's time to put your BS aside for the next few minutes and put yourself, your family, your firm, and your profit first. Welcome back to the Profit First for Lawyers podcast. I'm your host, Carly, and today we are talking with someone that I have been really excited to get into the studio for a long time. Join me in welcoming Xavier Martine. Xavier, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Really excited to be here.
Yes. Do you want to go ahead and give a little bit of background on who you are, what you do? Obviously, you're a law firm owner. What does your law firm do? Give us your magic statement.
Absolutely. So we're located in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. We focus on family law and criminal defense. We are hyper-focused on innovative technology with a family focus for anything from criminal to divorce to custody. And we focus mostly on English and Spanish clientele.
Okay, I really like that. And what about you as a law firm owner, Xavier? What's kind of your story? What brought you into the law field?
Oh, certainly. So I'm ex-Navy. I was a nuclear engineer. Seems like 2 to 3 lifetimes ago. And afterwards came back to Minnesota, went to college, spent many years doing many different things. And then in my 30s, decided to go to law school. My father was an attorney. He loved it. He had been a banker his whole life and, it was not for him. So he had all these great war stories. I also grew up playing a lot of tournament chess, so I badly wanted to play chess for the rest of my life. And that's why, I chose to become a trial attorney, which I found is actually very true. Being a trial attorney is pretty rad, and it's very similar to chess. So yeah, those are the reasons I went to law school.
I'm just picturing you in that Netflix series, Queen's Gambit.
Oh yeah, that is actually an incredibly fun series. And it's inspired a lot of new young people to play, from what I hear. Like, I think Searching for Bobby Fischer is my favorite chess movie. Highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's a really, in my opinion, accurate portrayal of what tournament chess is like for kids.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out.
It's a really fun, subculture a lot of people don't know about.
Yes. Obviously, you've been a part of How to Manage a Small Law Firm for a while, so you are pretty familiar with RJon Robins. Did you have any preconceived notions about what it was going to be like to work with RJon before you came in, and what has it actually been like?
So I had no preconceived notions. The whole idea of how to manage a small law firm and the concept of an institution that helps a business owner, in this case a law firm owner, run a business, I just hadn't experienced that before. I didn't know what I was walking into. What I found right away was it was almost like candy for my brain, because these concepts were so precise and I enjoyed it so much. And there was a huge variety depending on the type of area I was looking at. I didn't know, for example, marketing was separate from intake, was separate from legal production, was separate from sales, was separate from finance, etc. I love that. I loved how it's compartmentalized. RJon has this brilliant, in my opinion, brilliant breakdown of a podcast where he essentially reads and then speaks about Think and Grow Rich. And I've listened to that at least once a year. That for me has been a game changer. So there's such a variety and a wealth of information that RJon introduces that I was walking into. It was a really cool world to walk into.
Oh, I really like Candy for the Brain. That's really, really fun. And I know as well, I always ask guests before they come on, what was your favorite part of the book? And your response, Javier, was different than anybody else that has ever come on. And I really enjoyed it, but it did absolutely make me laugh. So I know you brought a clip today. Do you want to go ahead and introduce it? And I think the audience will understand why I was surprised and delighted.
All right, so full disclosure, I really love like conceptual breakdowns of financial key reports because I'm not familiar with financial key reports. So when someone simplifies what I would consider something very complex, like going back to the concept of candy of the brain, like I eat it up. I want this knowledge, and it's so incredibly helpful. So chapter 12 is probably my favorite chapter in the entire book. This particular clip happens right around when RJon recommends these financial reports. And in particular, this clip really made a big impact on me because it really summed it up.
Okay. All right. Let's roll the clip.
This is all common sense. There is no complicated math involved. And yes, I know I said that already. Remember, I'm a lawyer too. And so I know how scared we get as lawyers anytime the subject of math comes up. And this is precisely why so many small law firm owners struggle so much when it comes to the financial management of their business. But you don't have to know hardly anything about bookkeeping or accounting or math to become very effective in your use of these important financial concepts and ideas. And for the third time, I'm not going to ask you to do any math. So take a deep breath and prepare to have your eyes open wide to the impressive potential for profit that's probably all around you in your law firm.
You know what's so funny about that is I have a special copy of Profit First for Lawyers, and I got to kind of personalize the front. And that last bit, the prepare to have your eyes opened wide to the impressive potential for profit that's probably all around you. That is in the front of my copy of the book, Profit First for Lawyers. And I'm going to assume, of course, because you like these financial concepts, that you've probably never been scared from looking at your numbers, right?
Oh no, the opposite. So in the beginning, it's funny you say that. In that when I first joined, God, it feels like a lifetime ago because I've learned so much since then. But I remember saying like one of the things I was most scared of were my numbers because I had no idea what they were. Like every part of the firm, I had literally no idea. And you'll note with RJon in this particular chapter, he takes all these different concepts and he introduces them in a really simple and concise way. And for me, it's like learning a language. Like if there's this big overall concept of profitability, learning A, what that is, B, how do I discover what that is within the firm, and then all these facts and all these metrics, everything that's alive in the company suddenly starts to come to life to me because I start to understand what to look for and what it is. So I was very afraid of these numbers in the beginning just from ignorance. You don't know what you don't know. And as I started to learn how to look for these numbers and what they meant, and it's like anything, once you look, it's really not that scary. And then you start to be relieved. And then I start to have intelligent information on how to run my business. So it really is learning another language.
That's such a fun way to think about it. And I actually think I've spoken with a couple of our bookkeepers that do not suck. and they've also talked about it as learning a completely new language. So can you give us a little bit of a snapshot then of what was it like when you first started, when you first hung out your shingle versus what you have today? What was the difference in terms of your time, in terms of your finances, both professionally and personally, in terms of your professional enjoyment? What does life kind of look like as you've put some of these things in effect and as you've started to follow Profit First accounting principles?
Certainly. So it really was night and day in that when I first opened a firm, It was just a lot of you learn as you go along. I didn't have a teacher. It's really hard, at least my experience in the Twin Cities, and I'm assuming it's like this, all over the country. Number one, most other attorneys that, own their own shingle, they're just solo attorneys. They're doing the best they can. They're out there, they're in court every day. They're somehow making it through, but it's tough. And, they'll offer whatever advice they have, but at the end of the day, they're busy. For firm owners that had maybe 2 or 3 attorneys, there aren't that many. And the ones I would find, like, it's difficult to actually get real information from them. A couple might recommend a book, but it was very hard for me as an up and coming attorney to find out what I'm actually supposed to do when it comes to running a business. And what I found is I was doing the best I could as quickly as I could, but I kept making mistakes, which I don't mind. It's just the bigger I got, the more costly my mistakes were, and they were really expensive. So I finally considered getting some professional help. And I'm the kind of guy, like, I would never get help. I'm way too quote unquote smart to get help. But when it started costing me money over and over and over, I'm like, okay, I literally don't know what I'm doing. So that's before. Also, it was getting to the point with young children. We had this young family at the time. I had my son who, was a young baby. And I now have this young family, and I'm like a chicken with my head cut off because I'm trying to run a business. I'm in court all the time. We're not that profitable. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm literally, quote unquote, killing myself, working easily 60 to 80 hours a week. But on top of that, when I'm not working, the problem is I'm so immersed with the business and I'm so worried because, I'm trying to support a family. And at the end of the day, going back to I don't really know what I'm doing and I'm making so many costly mistakes. I was really, really worried for many reasons.
Yeah, sounds stressful.
Very, very, very stressful, totally, to the point where I was finally allowing myself to put my ego away and really start to seek out some guidance. So,
Oh, that's
hopping around a little bit.
yeah, I
Oh,
was just thinking that's
certainly.
one of those like opportunities that's wrapped in a problem that RJon talks about a lot, right? That the stress
That's a
is
great
what kind
point.
of broke down your ego enough to be able to take in new information.
100%. My ego is not my amigo. So, I found out the hard way.
My ego
You're,
is not my amigo. Okay, that I am yeah, I'm gonna save that one for later. Go ahead, keep going,
it's a
Javier. Sorry
lot
to
of
interrupt. That
fun.
was amazing.
No, certainly. So, through a lot of pain and suffering, I was forced to get on my knees and have some humility. But it came from pain and suffering. Like, I'm not smart enough to think this about this on my own. However, when I was humbled enough, I sought out help. And here's the great thing. I was so hungry when I found how to manage a small law firm. Like, I was so hungry for information. And when I started, it was literally like swallowing from a fire hose. There was so much, but it was so rich. So I remember like walking my dogs and spending time with my son, but often I'd have a podcast on, or I'd listen to all this different like wealth of information from RJon and how to manage a small law firm. And it was incredible. So going back to the concept of new language, like this was a new language completely. I didn't know that you could literally think of a business this way. I didn't know that there's literally just layers upon layers upon layers of information. And it was really, really fun to walk into this. So that was kind of the transition in the beginning. To answer the latter part of your question, what it looks like today. So to get very specific, our firm was at around 450,000 when I joined.
How long had you owned your law firm by the time you joined?
I had owned it for 3 years. It was in 2019 is when I opened my firm, and I joined in 2022, and now it's 2025. It's been a little over 3 years, but we had just done 450,000. The first year I joined, we bumped up to 1 million. And then the second year was 2 million. And then the third year was 3.7 million. So we're at like a 7.5 million run rate right now.
Oh
So
my gosh.
we're growing fast. And it honestly, I'd say one of the biggest parts of that is I was just so hungry when I joined. Here's the other part, and this is like the honest truth. I'm totally out of production now and I run the business. Like I just run the business, which is way more profitable, by the way, like way more profitable. And how to manage taught me that. RJon talks a lot about that. I work a lot less. There are often, weeks where I work 20 hours a week, but it's because we have incredible people, we have incredible systems and procedures. It's like the business, the machine, it's running itself. And my job is to stay 30,000 feet in the air to make sure that everything's working perfectly. Think of it as like an orchestra. We have incredible people in the firm, we have incredible instruments. And when they're running properly, like it's truly a thing of beauty. Like it does become art after a while. But I didn't know any of this
Oh.
existed because when I first joined, like I was just a chicken with my head cut off. Like, and kind of going back like full circle, if you break down those concepts in chapter 12, right? These are like, it's a really concise breakdown. But I can suddenly say, oh, I can't wait to see my numbers now because I now know what to look for. And then if I know what to look for, there's gold in there because I can actually dig in and these numbers start to come to life. And then I can ask the right questions. And then when I'm asking the right questions, I can suddenly have intelligent information on how to move forward with a business, depending on what direction you want to go to. But I don't know any of this unless I actually understand the language in the first place.
Arjun said during the audiobook when we were speaking it together, and I can't remember if this actually made it into the physical book or not. We did adjust some things from the audiobook studio into the real book because there were a lot of gold in them there hills, right? But so I can't remember if this actually made it into the full cut. But I really really liked this. Arjun had said, "You don't need to know how to change your oil." But you do need to know when you see the oil light come on in your car that you should take it to a mechanic. And that's kind of what I'm feeling here, right? Is like you need to know how to read your numbers. You don't need to be the one who pulls the reports. In fact, you shouldn't be, right? But you need to know how to read them because that is your check engine light. You don't have to be the one who necessarily fixes it. I mean, sometimes you do, but you know what I mean? Like you don't have to be an accountant. You have to have enough
Totally.
information in order to bring it and raise the flag and know when the alarm's being sounded.
100%. Otherwise, I'm blind. And what I didn't realize was I used to be much more blind when it came to my business, going back to you don't know what you don't know. So if
Mhm.
I have no idea what the numbers mean in the first place, or even if I have a little bit of an understanding, but I don't have the numbers, I don't have intelligent information. So how am I supposed to know what direction to go to? And the reality is, I truly can crash my firm pretty easily if I'm blind. And the bigger we get, the more people we have involved, the more dangerous it gets because
Mhm.
every mistake now is that much greater. But it's the opposite. Every time we do something profitable, that's that much greater as well, because of the size we're at this point. But yeah, 100% agree. It's incredibly important that I have at minimum a basic understanding. And then the interesting thing is, depending on the area of the firm, I can then determine as a business owner how deep I want to go in. Do I want to get a
Mm.
really, really thorough understanding of finance, or am I okay with a basic one? And that's just something that I learn over time. But I would say to even have that conversation is a next level conversation because when I first read something like Profit First for Lawyers, I didn't know the first thing at all. So I had zero understanding. And it really introduces, again, this world of numbers, of what to look for. And then I can dig deeper if I choose to.
Yeah. Well, it seems like your journey from being unprofitable, I mean, your firm was making fairly decent money for having been in the field for that long on your own, trying to figure it out with no knowledge base, right? But I don't just mean financially, although obviously that took quite a bit of a leap in the last 3 years, but also, the quality of life. I feel like that level of profitability, that level of success, the ability to have time to go from 60, 80-hour work weeks to sometimes 20-hour work weeks is so huge, Javier. Like I got to give you your flowers for that because that you did something really really brave. Past Javier did something really really brave when you were taking the beating, right? You could have said, well, this is just how life is, and I'm either going to suffer or I'm going to quit. And instead, you went and sought out more information, more, like you said, you were hungry. You were hungry to do something about it. And you've built this beautiful life for yourself. And I think that's really, really just admirable. That's beautiful what you've done.
Thank you. I'm a huge, huge believer in giving credit to people that are much farther along, let's say, in certain areas and standing on their shoulders and taking full advantage. So RJon's one of those people I'd put in that category. And I've told him to his face, I'm going to stand on your shoulders as long as possible. Like, I have no qualms about that. Like, so here's the thing, in my opinion, he's put in the work to get as smart as he's gotten, to get as intelligent, to have that much knowledge that he's made an incredible business around. Imagine the thousands and thousands and thousands of people he's taught and continues to teach on a daily basis. Like, he teaches so many people so many incredible things, and he helps their life get better. But he's able to do that because he put in the work himself. And then guys like me come along, and I gladly stand on his shoulders, take full advantage, and then apply it to the real world, and I benefit, and my family benefits. So I'm really, really happy to be here, but it took humility and pain to have the willingness to seek out that kind of information. And I think Profit for Lawyers is a great example of that. Am I willing to actually open a book like that, really seek out the wealth of gold in there, and then apply it to my firm? And if the answer is yes, if I have the humility and willingness to do that, I'm going to do nothing but benefit from it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about your journey with Profit First accounting principles. I know you said that you have been following that for a while. How long is a while?
A little over a year.
Oh, okay. Okay. And so, I mean, you already had kind of this major growth trajectory. What has the difference been between following these Profit First accounting principles versus not?
It's a really interesting mindset shift, and switching the concept of the firm is actually something that's there to serve me. If it's a thing, if it's an entity, it's this incredible entity that not only puts so much value out in the world, that helps so many people, that provides and gives an opportunity for so many people at the firm to do what they love. Like, that in itself is magic, right? Like, the attorneys get to be attorneys. Intake gets to be intake. They're brilliant at it. We have incredible marketing people. We have incredible sales, et cetera, et cetera. And they love their jobs, and they get to do it day in, day out. So that in itself is magic. But in addition, as far as like being an entity that provides for my family, if I actually put that first and foremost and take out an exact amount or an exact percentage month in, month out that I've already predetermined, it's brilliant, because what I'm doing now is I'm actually upping the standards of my firm. I'm actually upping it by putting an extra strain on it that I've chosen or pre-chosen ahead of time, so that the firm then has to meet my demand. If I don't have that preconception and I don't choose ahead of time what I'm going to demand from my firm, I won't demand it from the firm, and I actually might not meet it. And therefore, I haven't risen it to that standard ahead of time. So I'll be okay if I don't make any profit, because everyone else is happy, and all right, that's all right. But if I'm like, you know what, forget that, I'm going to get this profit, then I'm going to demand that I find that profit, yes or yes, whether it's more marketing, whether it's more sales, whether we need to be more efficient with legal production, etc. I've already determined the amount of profit I'm going to get. I take it first before everything, and therefore I will find a way to get there. But it's only because I've preconceived and predetermined what that amount will be. So that's been a huge mind shift that I've had since reading Profit First for Lawyers.
We've created a great resource just for you to help you make your law firm more profitable right now. It's called the Profit Leak Assessment. I teamed up with Evelyn Acoyne, who is how to manage a small law firm's financial literacy and strategy expert, to put together a practical and extremely profitable, on-demand, completely free course that's going to help you find thousands of dollars in your proverbial couch cushions. Well, if you're anything like the other law firm owners we've helped anyway. And I promise, no complicated math involved. This is just our way of saying thank you. So sign up now by going to profitfirstforlawyers.com/profit leak or clicking the link in our show notes. Javier, what would you say to those? So some of the most common, I'll call it pushback, one of the most common objections that we hear from law firm owners who say, no, I can't take my profit first, is that number one, it's selfish or it puts me in a bad spot in order to help my clients. And number two, I can't afford to take my profits first because my law firm isn't profitable enough for it. What would you say to those people? How do you serve your clients?
So first part, with regard to it wouldn't serve my clients. So in my opinion, and I feel strongly about this, it's the opposite. One of the great things and the many great things that the book does is it really defines profit. You're essentially exchanging something for less value for something for much more value. So I'll give you an example. Let's say somebody, so we do criminal defense and family. Let's say somebody hires us for like a DUI. And I'll just say they pay $5,000, right? I'm going to throw a random number out there.
Right.
So our goal is for that 5,000, we're going to give them so much value, like so much. We're going to throw the kitchen sink at it. And by the time they leave and the case is over, they're going to say, you know what? That was really an amazing amount of money I just spent because I got so much value from it. I'm so happy I spent that 5,000. Like it was totally worth it. My life is so much better because I spent that 5,000 when I hired Martine Law. Like that's music to my ears as a business owner. Now for us as a business, we profited as well because we'd rather have that $5,000 than the amount of work we put in. So therefore both parties profit. It truly is a win-win. And it's going to the concept of abundance, where in the world, in order for us to be more profitable as a firm and as a business, we actually have to put much more value in the world than we gain. And if we want to grow, we have to continue to find a way to put so much more value than we gain. So we never want to take, we always want to give. And we want to give more than we get so that both parties truly profit. So the concept of, well, it's going to hurt my clients, in multiple ways, that's, in my opinion, incorrect thinking or conceptual error. Number one, it's taken away from abundance, where we truly all have abundance. Number two, let's say I only charge half. The problem is, so let's say I charge $2,500 for a DWI. The problem is I can't now afford to get the best workers I can get, the best attorneys, paralegals, legal assistants. I can't spend a ton of money on top AI technology, on top research, on all these incredible things that I can actually provide for my clients because I have the money to do it because we charge the prices we charge, where they're going to get way more value than anything they pay us. So quite frankly, they're not going to get a very good product. And then if they don't get a good product, well, their case might not go well because we don't have very good attorneys, we don't have good systems, we don't have good procedures, we don't have good technology. And then they get a bad outcome and their life isn't that great. So for so many reasons, it's incredibly important that me as a business owner, I find a way to give the best possible value as possible, while at the same time profiting myself because we're giving away all this amazing product because we'd rather give that away in exchange for a certain amount of money. And our clients are more than happy to pay us that amount because their outcome is so much better than any amount of money they paid us. So I think that conceptually is really, really important for people to understand, at least it was for me. And then the second part you noted is, if I understood correctly, it's almost selfish of me to take profit because it'll hurt my company, or in this case, hurt my law firm.
Yeah.
All right. So this is interesting, and it took me a while to understand this. What I've found is if I set a goal, I'll meet it. And it can be anywhere. So for example, our sales department, if we set a goal, we consistently meet it because we're all aligned. Yes or yes, we're going to hit this goal. And RJon talks a lot about this. Yes or yes, it's going to happen. I love it. And it's true. If our intake, if they set a goal, they're going to hit it. Our legal production, they set a goal, they're going to hit it. If I demand from my firm a profitable goal and I predetermine it, set it, and actually take it ahead of time, what I do is I actually raise the standard of my firm. And by doing that, I now find a way, yes or yes, for the firm to hit that goal. If I never set it ahead of time, I will actually, at least I will, lower my standard for my firm because I'll be okay with paying everyone else before I even think of paying myself. And at the end of the day, if everyone else is paid and I make a little bit of profit, I'll probably be okay with it. But because I've predetermined a much higher amount and taken it ahead of time, I have to demand more from my firm and therefore more for myself to find a way to get there. So it's incredibly important for me to take profit first. And then the side note is I'm much happier as a human being. My family's much happier. I have a much greater peace of mind, and I have the now capacity, willingness, and ability to continue to put so much more into the company because I know it's going to take care of me as a human being and it's going to take care of my family.
Ooh, yes. That's fantastic. Thank you so, so much for bringing that. And I love that too in the kind of mindset of raising your standards. And what I was thinking is, if you don't have standards, right? If you're not going to give yourself goals or targets to hit, then any direction will be fine. What's that? I think that's the Alice in Wonderland quote, right? Oh, what is it? I'm gonna have to look it up, but it's something like, Alice says, I don't know where I'm going. He's like, well, then it doesn't really matter what direction. I really, really enjoyed that. Thank you so much for the breakdown. And I think too, that's really, really impressive that's all these things that you've been able to take away, even after only just 1 year of really digging in and following these profit first accounting principles. And I'm not going to say that it's the only cause, but I will say I did notice that your leap between profitability from the previous year to this one was a lot greater than it was. Because what did you say? You said it was like 450 when you came in, and then you got to 1 million, and then you got to 2 million, and then you got to 3.5, and now you're at like 7.5. The only thing I can see that changed, Javier, was you following those profit first accounting principles.
You know what? The correlation, cause and effect, you could be spot on. Seriously. I honestly think so. And what it does too is it shows me by raising the standards what the firm's capable of. And it really drives me to continue to want to put so much value in the world. And I love the idea, if we want to grow, we have to help more people. And that's a beautiful thing. Like, it truly is abundance. Everyone truly does profit.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I have one last question that I usually like to ask everybody. What is one piece of advice that RJon has either given to you or that he's given in your hearing that you've taken action on that has been very, very profitable in your life? Whether that profitability was financially, personally, professionally, so on and so forth.
So he's given it, his wife has given the same advice multiple times. Allie, who's insanely brilliant as well.
I love her.
She's amazing. They're both incredible people. But it's make as many mistakes as quickly as possible. Like, continue to make mistakes, like embrace it. Like, just take the action. It's almost better to take action and make a mistake than not do anything at all. Just keep acting. Action. Because I can learn all these concepts, but if I'm not willing to take the action, what's the point? And I've noticed, and RJon's really honest about this. In my opinion, like, one of the best, I think, things about RJon is he's so open and honest about his experiences. And he's earned the right to be where he's at today because he has the scars to prove it. He has the war stories to prove it. And the bigger my particular firm gets, the more I appreciate what he's created. Everything's not rosy and perfect when you're growing. You make a lot of mistakes, but that's how you grow. And it's incredibly profitable to embrace those mistakes, to embrace those scars, because that's what actually makes the world go around. That's what growth is. It gets way away from theory and it gets into action. So that for me is the most profitable, I think, advice I've ever heard from RJon. And Allie happens to give the exact same advice.
Oh, make as many mistakes as you can as quickly as you can. That's fabulous.
Yes, 100%. Absolutely.
Okay. Can I ask you for some clarification on something? I thought that was so interesting when you were talking about, what you would do when you were doing these chess tournaments. And my question is, what is the difference between studying a past mistake and dwelling in a past mistake? Because I know that sometimes we as humans have a tendency to like beat ourselves up or live in our mistakes. How do you study a mistake without attacking yourself for making it in the first place?
Well, certainly. So it's two different concepts in that if I study it, it's just objective facts. If I take away any guilt attached to it, or if I take away any judgment, think of it as like you might not be old enough to remember Dragnet. I'm barely old enough to remember Dragnet, but like just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts, ma'am. So if I just look for the facts and then I objectively look at it, what can I learn from those mistakes that I've determined are mistakes? And there can be absolute gold in there. With regard to living in it, that for me, is there actual value if I just live in sadness and regret? Usually, no. At least that's my opinion. But if I'm living in sadness and regret, I'm actually going to objectively learn what gold exists? Probably not. Instead, I'm going to be just beating myself up. What's the point at the end of the day? So I think they're two very different concepts.
I feel like you're really a pragmatist, Javier.
I try to be.
Hey, I had so much fun speaking to you today. I think we got a lot of value out of this one. Let me see if I can try and distill some of the things that we learned, right? Number one, do profit first, right? Take a look at your numbers and get curious, right? Not necessarily in order for you to, like, you don't have to study to be an accountant, but maybe take a look at Chapter 12 in Profit First for Lawyers. If you have it, take a look at those financial reports and see, number one, do you get those? If so, do you know how to read them? Right. And maybe just do kind of some deep dives so that you can use your dashboard in a really, really strong and helpful way. And number three, don't be afraid to make mistakes. In fact, maybe make mistakes and make them quickly, and do some studying divorced of guilt or shame. All right. Study your mistakes divorced of guilt or shame. Did I get that right, Javier?
I absolutely love it. And if you look at a book like Profit First for Lawyers, it's literally in a very concise way teaching you a language. So can't recommend it enough. For me, it's one of those books that I'm going to want to read over and over and over because I'm going to get something different every time I read it. So I think that's important as well.
Thanks, Javier, for plugging us so much. That's amazing. You heard it here first, folks, right? If you haven't already purchased your copy of the book, what are you waiting for? Go and get it. If you already have it, dust it off. Make sure that you are reading and reviewing, really, so that you can take these and build yourself a life that you want to live, that helps your family, that helps your clients, and that helps you financially to be able to do the things that are going to give you that sense of legacy, that sense of joy and fulfillment, and the life that you want to lead. Thank you so much for being here today, Javier. This was a blast.
Yes, thanks for having me. Really, really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, you guys, if you want to reach out to Javier, or if you want to find him, Javier, where would they find you?
Oh, actually, come to our website. So it's the letter X, martinelaw.com. XMartinelaw.com.
Amazing. We'll put that in the show notes as well. Javier, thanks again. And for everybody listening, go grab your copy of Profit First for Lawyers today, and we will see you next time. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Profit First for Lawyers podcast. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, tell a friend and buy your copy of the book at profitfirstforlawyers.com. Your future self will thank you for it, and we will see you next time.